The buzzing of Jungkook's phone sliced through the quiet of his tiny apartment. He was curled up on the couch, textbook open in front of him, the words blurring together after another exhausting day of clinical rotations. When he glanced at the screen, his heart gave a strange stutter. Taehyung. He smiled faintly, expecting some teasing remark, a photo, maybe even a good luck tomorrow that would ease the ache in his chest. Things had been tense between them lately, but Jungkook still held on to hope. He always did. But when he opened the message, his hands froze. His lungs forgot how to work. "I think we should break up, because I don't think I can do this anymore." That was it. No warmth, no explanation, no face-to-face conversation. Just a flat, cold text message. Jungkook blinked, his vision swimming. His throat burned, but he didn't type back. His thumb hovered over the keyboard, shaking, but no words came. Because what would he even say? If Taehyung didn't want to stay, nothing Jungkook could type would make him. He let the phone slip from his hand, his chest caving as the tears finally broke free. He cried silently, his face buried in his arms. He cried in the shower later that night, water masking his sobs. He cried himself to sleep, pillow soaked and body aching. And yet, the next morning, at 4:30 a.m., Jungkook got up. He put on his scrubs, slung his stethoscope around his neck, and forced himself to walk into the hospital. His heart was in pieces, but life didn't stop for heartbreak. That day, and many after, he repeated the same mantra in his head. If you leave me once, you'll leave me again. Once you're gone, it's forever. Jungkook never replied to Taehyung's text. He never gave him the satisfaction of seeing his pain. He simply disappeared. Days turned into weeks, and weeks slipped into months. Jungkook never replied. Not to that text. Not to the couple of messages Taehyung sent after, short, awkward lines like "Are you okay and I didn't mean to hurt you." He left them unread, locked away in his phone like ghosts he refused to face. The silence was his answer. At first, it was unbearable. Jungkook would lie awake at night, phone clutched in his hand, fighting the urge to call. He'd scroll back through their old photos, Taehyung's laughter frozen in pixels, the way his eyes crinkled when Jungkook did something silly, the lazy mornings tangled in sheets. Each image was a knife. But every time the ache threatened to break him, Jungkook reminded himself of the truth. If Taehyung had wanted to stay, he would have. If Taehyung had loved him enough, he wouldn't have let him go with a single text. So Jungkook stayed silent. By the 4th month, the pain dulled into a scar. He threw himself into his rotations, into the endless hours of tending to patients, shadowing doctors, and memorizing case after case. The exhaustion left little room for tears. Friends asked sometimes, "How you?" and he'd force a smile. He didn't tell them how some nights he still reached for the empty side of the bed. He didn't tell them that every deep voice in a crowd made his heart skip before he realized it wasn't Taehyung. Instead, he built walls. "Once you leave me," Jungkook whispered to himself one night while staring into his bathroom mirror, "you're gone forever." It became his shield. His survival. Meanwhile, Taehyung's absence became louder than his presence had ever been. The silence in Jungkook's life wasn't just peace, it was emptiness. And though he refused to admit it, sometimes he still dreamed of the way Taehyung's arms felt around him. But every morning, he woke up and chose not to reach out. Because the door was closed. Permanently. A year passed like that. And then, One evening, while Jungkook was folding laundry with soft music humming in the background, his phone lit up. The name on the screen froze him in place. Taehyung. Jungkook's hand froze mid-fold, a soft white t-shirt slipping from his grasp and falling soundlessly to the floor. The glow of his phone illuminated the table, and there it was, Taehyung. His heart lurched violently against his ribs. It was ridiculous how after a year, that name still had the power to unsteady him. He thought he'd built enough walls, stitched his heart tightly enough that nothing could get through. But there it was, pounding in his chest, the ghost of what they once had. The phone kept buzzing. Once. Twice. Then silence. Jungkook stared at it for a long time, pulse thundering in his ears. His fingers itched to swipe, to answer, to hear that deep voice just once more. But he didn't move. He didn't pick up. The call ended. A minute later, the phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message. Jungkook, please. I need to talk to you. I made a mistake. His throat went dry. A bitter laugh almost escaped him. A mistake? A mistake was forgetting someone's birthday. Misplacing your keys. Not breaking a heart with a single text and expecting forgiveness a year later. The messages kept coming. I miss you. I'm sorry for everything. Can we meet? Just once. Jungkook locked the screen. He couldn't read anymore. His chest felt too tight, his vision blurry with an anger he hadn't let himself feel until now. Because how dare Taehyung come back after all this time? How dare he think he could waltz into Jungkook's life again, as if the pain he left behind was something that could be swept under the rug. That night, Jungkook cried again. Not out of longing, but out of sheer frustration. The walls he had built felt shaky, but he clenched his fists and whispered the words he had sworn to himself over and over. Once you leave me, it's goodbye forever. The next morning, Jungkook carried on as usual. He went to work. He smiled politely at patients. He returned home to the quiet of his apartment. But the phone didn't stop buzzing. Taehyung was persistent. And Jungkook knew, sooner or later, he'd have to face him.